Hello everybody, my name is Kristin, I'm the director of our South African branch. I wanted to share some of my personal experience when it comes to visa on arrival for Namibia as a German citizen with you today. So I've been living in South Africa for 15 years, I made it once to Namibia, and then this year we decided to go back as a family to go on a camping holiday. And then earlier this year, the Namibian government introduced a visa on arrival for German citizens, which obviously is very new. Before, Germans and many other nationalities could just travel to Namibia, they would enter, there were no costs, no extra admin task involved, and they would just enjoy the holiday. So it came quite as a surprise, but I said, cool, I pay on arrival, and that's it. Then I realized, okay, there's more to it. There's actually quite a bit of documentation that's needed. There's a process where you can apply for it beforehand, and the task became a bit more complicated than I had expected, to be honest. On top of all of that, we were not going to travel by plane. As a family, we're driving up from Cape Town, entering Namibia via the border, by a car in the south of Namibia. So I then started to do research. I felt like one of my clients that now has a new task, a new destination, looking into visas. And I got lots of information on how to go about it, and then did it. That being said, I'm glad beforehand to maybe just say, I'm glad I just had to do it for myself and not for the rest of my family. They all have South African passports, so they could just enter as per usual. But I just wanted to take a minute or two to quickly explain to you the process, to maybe ease the pain a little bit, to not make you too worried about the process. But the first thing is, you can either do this on arrival at the airport or at certain other borders, but you must double check if you're coming in by car at which borders you can do this. But if you're flying into Windhoek, you can do this process on arrival, or you can do it beforehand. I, working in immigration, definitely wanted to do it beforehand. I didn't want to have any surprises at the border. So I sat down one evening and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I logged into the profile of the website of the Ministry of Home Affairs in Namibia, registered my profile, and then had a look at the documents I needed. Quickly realized this is not going to happen tonight. I do not have passport pictures on hand. So that's just if you plan to do it, there's a few things you must have. You must have a copy of your passport handy, which most people have these days, but you also need passport pictures and digitally that you can upload to your profile. You must have your itinerary ready. Well, in our case, we camped for 17 nights at nearly 17 different campsites. So that was quite a mission with address and phone number. And then you also needed the itinerary, basically, of where you're staying everywhere. So by the time I had started typing so the next day I realized, okay, I don't have the passport pictures, can't do it. Logged in the next day, started again, quickly typed in all the information I had, only to then realize I was too slow and I timed out and I had to recapture. Obviously the happiness wasn't very high at that point. Then next time I was smarter, typed it all into a Word document and copy-pasted as I was doing the task, and then it worked. So if you come prepared, if you have your passport pictures, if you have your itinerary typed out in a Word document that you can just copy-paste in, it's an easy process. If you do it like me, it takes a while. But then I basically uploaded everything. You then get a confirmation of receipt. You proceed to pay, which in my case then as an adult was 1,800 Namibian dollars, which is roughly 70 euros, roughly 80 euros, 90 US dollar. I got a confirmation email, which was then my receipt of my e-visa that I got. That being said, one thing that's very important is that this is a visa on arrival as a German citizen. It's not a holiday visa. Yes, I'm going for the purpose of holiday, but it is a visa on arrival. The holiday visa is for those that always needed a visa to go on holiday to Namibia even before these changes. So they have stricter requirements on what they need to fulfill. So if you're on the website of the Ministry of Home Affairs, a visa on arrival as a German, as an Italian, as a Belgian, as a Dutch person, it is not the holiday visa. That is just quite important. Otherwise, you already start with the wrong category. But yeah, that being said, I then got the email. There's then still documentation afterwards which you must gather for your trip. So I needed travel insurance, I needed proof of sufficient funds. They say you can bring bank statements or your credit card. I just rather printed out 3 months bank statements just to be sure. They say that you need to have your itinerary with you. They say that the first accommodation and the last accommodation is good enough, just in case I printed out everything. I didn't want to take any risks, so I had all the different campsites in our case print out. I had the e-visa form, a copy of my passport. If you're traveling with kids, you must also take the birth certificate, or if you're traveling with kids that are not yours, you must have a consent form of the parents. And that was basically it. So we arrived at the border. Now, obviously, when you travel like we do by car, you first leave South Africa and then you go to the next border post and you enter Namibia. On the internet, or when I was reading about it before, it says that I didn't have to fill out the A5 paper arrival form, which the other members of my family had to as South Africans. And they said, because I already have a visa on arrival, I don't have to. Well, I had to. So just that being said, when I arrived now, I had to do it again. But other than that, it was a very smooth process. They didn't want to see any of my documents that I had brought along with me. So they didn't want to see my proof of funds, my travel insurance, my itinerary. But I had it, and I would always redo it. And that was basically it. So they were friendly, they were nice, they were quick, efficient. We were done, I think, with all the inspections also for our car and everything, and in about 30 minutes, which is quite quick.